Hey, this is Steve Bloom, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
You are now on the inside of what I like to call the circle of trust.
We are all connected in the great circle of life.
You know something, Bert? What? I think you and I are going in circles.
It feels like we're going in circles.
The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Because it's a circle.
Yeah, we heard about the circle.
Yes, we're familiar with shapes.
Hey, this is Greg.
This is Chuck.
And this is Dan, and we are Talking in Circles, brought to you by the Geekcast Radio Network. The podcast where we don't have to release a photo of our ass to break the internet. We just do it every day of the week just through podcasting.
We just have to add a the to the title of the show. Sorry.
I think I broke you. See, I just talked out loud and I officially have broken Greg. It's not even, it's only been a little bit.
Sorry, I'm a little bit trashed. I had like 3/4 of a cup of this whiskey that I've got going. So, excuse me for the random outbursts.
Anyways, again, Greg is plastered one. But anyways, this week we are bringing back an old faithful. We started our very first podcast with this game, and we've done it a few other times, and we're going to add a nice little twist to it that you'll hear very shortly. But we're going to be playing some fact or fiction, and it's a simple game. Simply, we'll be giving each other statements, and we'll be determining if those statements are fact or if they are fiction. But before we get to all that, how's the week been going for you guys?
It was all right, but I had one drawback to the week. Yeah, I got pulled over by the cops.
Oof.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, I was going to see a lady friend, and I was trying to hurry up to get to her house. Yeah, and I got caught doing 55 and a 35. But the lady officer brought it down from 55 miles an hour to 45.
What'd you do to get that pass?
I have no idea. I wasn't like winking. I wasn't crying behind the wheel like women do to get out of tickets. I just kind of sat there. She was walking up to the car. I had my arm out the window with my stuff before she even got there.
Oh, were you flexing though? Was it like, here's my stuff?
Oh, yeah, here's my stuff. I am flexing underneath this giant sweatshirt that I have on.
Like a button on a fur coat.
You guys went with the actual sweater that I possess on my skin. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. But yeah, I got pulled over. She brought it down. She's like, I brought it down from 55 to 45, so you won't have as many points against you. And I'm like, thanks, I appreciate it. But the ticket altogether, there was like one spot for the fine, and it was like $45. But then it just like, oh, and here's for this and this and this and this and this and this. So at the end, it added up to $145.
Jesus Christ!
Right?
You hit a kid with a car? Like, what did you do?
I don't know. I think I murdered someone along the way.
Wow!
Murder, death, kill.
Knock on wood. I haven't got a speeding ticket that hasn't been from a camera in a while, but the last one I got was actually a few years ago, and it was when I was on like the turnpike in Pennsylvania. And I was coming home from Kutztown on a Monday morning, and there was like no one on the road, and he pulled me over for going like 10 miles or 15 miles over the speed limit. I'm like, really, guy, saving lives. All right.
Well, my favorite part is I'm going through Mashopin, and there's nothing going on in Mashopin.
You were up there?
Yeah.
Ouch. That guy's, you got the girl, but that guy is usually a dick. It's a good thing you missed that.
Got the lady, yeah. Well, she was very nice. It wasn't like we were like best friends afterwards or anything. But she was.
No matter how hard you tried.
Yeah. Do you want to sleep with me, or oh no, you're just giving me the ticket? All right, I shouldn't hit on you more. Okay, but yeah.
What is that mace? What is that mace doing?
Is that bear mace? Why? I'm not a bear. I know I have thick coating on me, but.
I wish I knew you were going up there, bro. I would have warned you. That's a well-known speed trap in that area.
Well, I was already told that it was a speed trap up there, but I didn't.
You thought you'd speed through it and miss it.
I didn't even see where they were sitting, and I was paying attention. Like, it was the one time that I wasn't paying attention to my speedometer, and like all of a sudden I looked behind me and there was a cop. I'm like, I didn't even see where they pulled out. I had no idea where this person was sitting at all. Like,
Ninja Police.
Yeah, and I was looking at my speed, and like it was the one time that I got up over the speed limit a little bit, and I wasn't paying attention really at that point because I was almost there, and I was paying attention to like where I had to turn because it's this weird intersection where it's like you're going straight, and then there's a 90-degree to the right, and then there's like where the road's coming through, but on the other side there's like a two-pronger that's like split by this random house in the middle of it. It's a really weird split. So I was trying to pay attention to that because I got lost the first time going over this girl's house. And
Sad part is I know exactly where you're talking about.
I accidentally took the right split there of the house, and it went like past like this like mill, and then it went to this dirt road. And then it went under this tunnel where a weird passage was written on the wall. And then
what? Then you went through time, and then
there were mole people. The mole man came out.
Did. And then when I was on the other side, there were like these two houses, and then there's like a whole bunch of signs. This is a dead end, and I'm like, okay, is this literally a dead end? Is somebody gonna jump out and kill me here? So I like turned around, did a K-turn real quick, and went back through the creepy tunnel. I didn't stick around to read the passage that was in the creepy tunnel. Got out of there, and then drove around, and I'm like, I have no idea where the hell this is. And then I called the girl, and she showed up, and I followed her back to her place, and like, I'm like, you're not going to murder me here, right? Because I already went through the creepy tunnel, so this is a creepy part of town. And all it was I just didn't go on the left side of this house. It was the weirdest intersection I've ever experienced. So I wanted to make sure I was hitting the right intersection, so I wasn't paying attention to my speed or anything. So I got nailed. Man. What are you going to do? I wish I got nailed the other way by her. That'd have been pretty
yeah. It would have been more expensive though. That's so easy. Anyways, Chuck, how's your week been going? I hear some sad news that I hear you're seeing another podcast. Is that true?
It's true. I can't deny it any longer.
I've had a good run.
I just felt that my needs weren't being met. My arrow needs.
You have so many arrow needs though. It's so hard to. Every week, it's just another arrow need.
I got a quiver full of them. That was corny. But no, I've been moonlighting this week on the remote control podcast.
Will you be moonlighting about moonlighting?
Yes, with a vengeance. No,
moonlighting with a vengeance.
It's a good day to do moonlighting. No. Yeah, so I was a guest star on Remote Control.
Guest star, people.
Guest star, yes, guest star. I say star because, obvious reasons. But no, we talked about Arrow season 1, and that's already been out by the time everyone's hearing this. And then also coming out this week is the Arrow season 2 review. And it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun talking with those guys.
But yeah, I mean, for those that don't know, Remote Control is on geekcastradio.com. You can check it out there.
It's not on nerdly.co.uk, though.
No.
And it's not on the 9 other places that we're on. Listen to Chuck on this one. Chuck, don't cheat anymore.
I won't do it, I swear. It didn't mean anything.
I'm glad you got to get some of that error out of your system. I know it's a phase. People go through it. You have needs. I'm glad that they could be met by somebody.
The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Let's put it that way. No.
Yeah. Anything else going on in your week?
I did try to go hunting this past weekend. Archery season is in Pennsylvania. And so I took my bow out, went hunting with my dad and stuff. Unfortunately,
and pretended like he was Arrow.
Yes, I had the green hood on and everything. I had the full camo, and And
when you saw the deer, where you're like, "Hey, deer, you have failed this
I
city."
said, yeah, that's why he ran away, and I didn't get him.
Your dad's like, "Stop doing that."
And I'm on the radio. I'm like, Roy, take him out. Roy didn't come. So yeah, I need to say I didn't get anything, unfortunately, but be going back out again this weekend, so we'll give that a shot. But I'm dusting up on my survival skills for the zombie apocalypse.
Nice, very nice. You'll be the Daryl of the zombie apocalypse.
Hopefully less greasy though.
Yeah, minus like the grease and the fact that you're like a 45-year-old man hitting on a 16-year-old girl. But
that too.
But besides that, speaking of greasy men, I recently did get the opportunity to see a movie starring Matthew McConaughey.
Was he also rolling his boogers in this film?
I wish.
It'd be hard to do with the helmet on.
It would be. He would find a way, though.
Can't get the boogers out to roll the suckers. He's like, Anne, can you get this one?
The weird thing, he's been going to space before he's been paid to go to space.
I think Jim Carrey should just double in all of his roles.
But yeah, so by the time this podcast is released, Interstellar's been out for a week or two. But Interstellar, way back when I did a post on like my most anticipated movies of the year, Interstellar was number 2, I believe. It was near the top 10. Number 1 was X-Men: Days of Future Past. Number 2 was Interstellar. And I've only seen the teaser trailer. I've been like dying like mad, missing every trailer I possibly can, to the point where I've been in movie theaters and the trailer's been playing, and I've been covering my eyes and like holding my ears and like humming, and Carol's sitting next to me going like, "You are the weirdest person in the history of the world. Why are you doing that?" I'm like, I just trying to avoid all trailers as possible, and did a pretty good job of it. So it was I usually see trailers, but I've been moving towards like not seeing them unless we'll be talking about them on the podcast.
Did people come up to your wife and say, "That's so sweet of you to take this special boy out to the movies"?
Not yet, but pretty soon. But finally, I didn't have to worry about doing that anymore because it was released. So like I said, I had a lot of anticipation going into this. One, it's Christopher Nolan, the guy who gave us Dark Knight, Inception, Memento, which might be my favorite Nolan film, starring like a huge cast with Matthew McConaughey, who's been on a roll lately with like a lot of great movies. He was in True Detective, last year won an Oscar.
Random Lincoln commercial.
He's rolling boogers. He's got a lot of good things going right now. But you also have Anne Hathaway, Jessica Chastain.
Gorgeous Anne Hathaway.
Yeah. Jessica Chastain as well, who's no slouch. Michael Caine, of course, because it's a Christopher Nolan film, so he can't do a movie without him anymore. So a lot of anticipation going in. And I will say this about Interstellar, which is kind of becoming a very controversial film. It's polarizing for sure. A lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it, and then I find myself directly in the middle. I will say I was greatly disappointed. It's probably one of the most disappointed movies of the year for me.
What?
Yeah. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh. What was your reaction? Maybe
Greg's like, I disagree with that shit, but I don't know.
I am way more interested in the fact with the real Interstellar going on. This actually today, the day we're recording this, I'm not sure exactly what they landed, but they landed something on a comet, which I thought was really awesome.
And then Michael Bay is like, why haven't they exploded it?
Yeah, why haven't they drilled in?
Why isn't it morphed into another shape with 4,000 moving parts?
I don't understand this.
It's not sharp enough.
With a deep, choppy, robot echoey voice.
But yeah, I was disappointed. I will give points for it's a visual spectacle for sure. There are some amazing visuals, like especially when we get into deep space and its use of wormholes and
Anne Hathaway gets naked, the best visual.
No, unfortunately, you'd probably have to go see Love and Other Drugs if you want to see that type of visual. Sad that I know that off of there. That's kind of creepy.
What's up, Mr. Skin? I just cracked myself up with that one. That's bad.
Amazing visuals. Like that's one thing Nolan can do is really bring you in to the story that way. Like with Inception, he had a lot of great ideas. Same thing here. The issue is like the plotting is so just jumbled and convoluted. There's so much going on. Like the main basic plot of it is that Earth, it's in the future, and Earth is dying. It's basically become a global dust bowl where there's very little crops, food has gone away, and Earth is becoming uninhabitable. So we have to go someplace else. A wormhole opens up near Saturn, and they're going to use it to try to find another world that we can possibly live in. And the issue becomes, it starts off well enough, but once it hits like the second act, things get kind of just overly complicated. Not that they're confusing, just so to the point where it's just layer upon layer upon layer, and it's where it's like just kind of unnecessary, where you can't even really enjoy what's going on because it just keeps shifting focus. It goes into things like relativity and how time changes. So you end up having storylines going through kind of like multiple timelines per se. Like, the story covers like about by the end, like almost 150 years or so. So you almost see like time travel, but instead of a flux capacitor, they use gravity because of the effects of the planet. But so with all these multiple storylines and multiple ideas and really grand, huge ideas about humanity and our ability to survive and what really drives us and what sets humanity apart from everything else and what's going to be the key component in our survival. A lot of big, huge ideas, but it's hard to even really get focused on those when you have so much plot going on. And I don't know, at the end of the day, I just was so disconnected by it. Like, I just didn't get the feel like these characters were ever really well thought out. They were just so plot heavy that you never really got a time just to kind of experience who they were. So it may be better on a rewatch where you can kind of get through some of that convolution and just focus on what's important. But like, yeah, I do have a review on geekcastradio.com, but I was hoping for this to be one of my favorite films of the year, and it is nowhere near that. So I mean, I think it's worth seeing, and I think it's something that some people might absolutely love, and I can understand that, and I could see people hating it. But to me, there was stuff I enjoyed. I just wanted something more. I wanted to be wowed, and I never really was. I was just kind of like, oh, that's interesting, and I don't know. So maybe my expectations were just too high, but unfortunately, I did not walk away very happy. So, but do any of you guys have any interest in that movie at all?
Not really.
Nah, I don't think so. I guess I know you've avoided the trailers, but I saw a trailer because of another movie that I saw in the theater recently, but it just, I don't know, it didn't look appealing to me as I thought, earlier in this year when I saw like the teaser trailer for it.
Have either of you seen Inception at all?
No, because I feel like his movies have been going very like in the head, like very thought, like trying to get multiple thoughts going. It's just too much. It's too busy. It's trying to be too.
It's too hard.
Yeah, it's too hard to figure out. That's why my parents won't watch the Matrix. They're like, it's too complicated. I don't want to think that hard for it, and I feel like this is like his movies are getting even well beyond like Matrix level of how the hell is this all working.
Yeah, I will say with Inception, I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of high level concept, but the way it's edited and the way it's done, it really doesn't matter. It's handled really well. I love Inception. I thought that was one of the best movies of that year, and I think it's just really brilliantly directed, and there's a lot of great stuff in it. So I would recommend seeing Inception. Interstellar, it's one, like I said, I think it's worth a watch, but I would probably say it's probably Nolan's worst film, next to The Following, which is his first movie, which was basically a glorified student movie. But I still think my favorite Nolan movie is Memento. But anyways, I will stop talking because I'm rambling. But
how dare you
ramble
away?
I
know. Well, Greg, I know last week you read one half of a graphic novel that had a certain story in it. Were you able to read the second half this week?
I did read the second half, and it's that Bill Willingham book. I have it in front of me right now. Big Doings and Bad Things, I believe is the name of it. It's a big deluxe book that was hardcover, and it was like $50, but I got it for cheap in the Baltimore Con. And I only read the first story out of it for the last podcast, I believe. And I've actually finished it up, and it's all really good. It's all like this kind of stuff that you love from Bill Willingham, diving deep into like very mythological kind of stories. Deals with subjects of death, monsters, and mythology, all this really great stuff that I'm really into. And he always has this unique take on it. It's got various different artists for all the different stories and everything. And it ranges, but definitely his the best artist to go with his stuff is definitely Mark Buckingham, the guy who also illustrates the stories that Bill has done for Fables. And I think they go together really great. And one of my favorites from all those that I've read is probably, I think it's just called The Hollows. It doesn't have Mark Buckingham on illustrations, but the story is just so weird. It's really short. It's just, I think it was in a comic filled with other stories, and they're all very horror related. And I didn't understand it too much, but it was just an interesting concept to me, where this young girl moves into this town, and she's like very like 1950s type looking girl. And she moves back to her hometown or something, and she's being courted by all these people, but all the people are actually flies. Like they're
Nice.
giant flies, and like all the flies are hitting on her. Then she finally marries one. And
Is the one she marries Jeff Goldblum by any chance?
No, I don't think any of them were Jeff Goldblum.
That's disappointing.
And she actually marries one of them, and they, on their honeymoon night, she gets impregnated, and she doesn't go through a normal like human birth. She has a birth like a fly, so she essentially ends up die because all the fly babies, the maggots, like come gushing out of her body, and she's just like this lifeless husk. And then you see the flies become babies, like little baby flies, and grow up.
So it's
and everything.
So it's like a heartwarming tale.
Oh yeah. Very heartwarming. By heartwarming, I mean you're throwing up a lot, so that's really heating up your body. But it was just a weird, sick, twisted little thing going on there. But he always has a unique and interesting take. But on the other side of that, I watched 3 movies that were kind of in a whole big series. I didn't watch all of them. I'm not sure. No. But it kind of ran on the other end of things, where it's another famous name in comics, and it's Clive Baker, and it was the Hellraiser series, which I've never seen before, and I was always kind of interested in seeing it, but I just haven't gotten around to it, because around Halloween time you'd always see, I believe people called him Pinhead, or
Pinhead.
Yeah. So I was always interested in what the story was behind that. And so I ended up watching the movies, and I've come to realize that Pinhead isn't even like the main villain in these stories. And that just kind of left me disappointed for the most part, because I was expecting this great kind of interesting backstory, but it was just all this weirdness going on that was like, had to deal with a lot of sex and violence and bondage, and like it was just really weird, sick, twisted shit. What you expect from Clive Barker, but it didn't even connect. The stories really didn't connect for me to make something really cohesive or understandable of what everybody's kind of goals are in this story. So I don't know how it got a cult classic following, but it does. And for all the sex stuff that they talk about, there's not a lot of nudity going on in it.
So why even bother?
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to sell it as that, I just kind of wasn't interested in it, but I just kind of kept watching because I was trying to price comic books, so it was something in the background to kind of listen to.
Oh, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Got to love a good background TV show or movie or podcast, like Talking in Circles.
That's what I do with podcasts. I've been listening to Smodcast at work. I've started from the beginning listening to Kevin Smith and Scott Mosher. So
I used to listen to that show, but then I'd get worried to listen to it at work. Like my headphones would not, come out.
Yeah,
and,
and they're very Kevin Smith is highly like, oh, then you'd be going down on your woman. Like it's even more explicit than that. So I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Chuck, don't listen to Smodcast at work. I know
or
you
ever.
wouldn't.
It's okay. We're not allowed to listen to anything at work anymore. So
Really?
yeah, they monitor like the bandwidth, and if people are streaming, it shows up, and like people get in trouble.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Like you can't even stream like a radio station. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Jeez. But before we go, I actually did want to mention one comic, because last week we talked a lot about Saga, and I mentioned how I was kind of getting into digital comics. And one comic that I read that's a digital comic was from the author of Saga, Brian K. Vaughan, and it's called The Private Eye. And it's a really great book. And what's kind of interesting about it is that, like I mentioned, it's only released online. And what's kind of funny about that, though, is because it's about a comic book that takes place in the not-so-distant future where there is no internet. There was an event that happened with the internet where everyone's information was released all at once, and it caused this huge backlash. So because of that, you see a world where privacy becomes a very important thing. People wear a lot of masks when they walk outside. Like I mentioned, there's no internet, no connection, really. Almost like a reaction to the digital age. It's a really interesting book. It follows this one teenager who is a private detective, and he is hired by this one lady to find out information about something, and in the process, the person that hired him gets killed, and then he begins to try to investigate why that happened. So it's kind of like a futuristic noir, but in similar art style to that of Saga. It's not the same artist. I apologize, but I forget.
Fiona Staple.
Yeah, it's not Fiona Staples. It's somebody else.
Yeah.
What's really interesting, though, is that every page pretty much is a splash page. And not necessarily where it's like, no words, but it's like a wide angle lens for each page. Every page is 2 pages, if that makes sense, So you open it, it's always wide frame.
Yeah, very expansive kind of look to it.
Yeah. So it's landscape, basically. That's the style of the book. And it's actually really good. Really interesting. I read the first volume. What's kind of cool about it is that you can go, it's from the Panel Syndicate, which is Brian K. Vaughan's own online source, and pay as you go or whatever. You give any price you would want, and you can buy the first volume, and there's a few other comics after that. So it's all online. They don't have any physical form of it, which is kind of, like I mentioned, ironic, knowing that it's about a world where there is no internet. So there's a lot of clever satire of today's age, like the guy the Private Eye, he lives next to his grandfather who comes from our generation, and it's interesting just seeing like the mentality of today's 20-year-old something in the body of an 80-year-old man, with like the tattoos that are cool now, and you realize how ridiculous they'll look on an old person, and they're still playing video games, and it's kind of like with the dialogue, and it makes you think of that and what that's gonna be like. It's really interesting in that way. It's one of the better commentaries on today's society that I've read in a while, so I would recommend that. And within that, just a really great story, an interesting world where like information is becoming very guarded, and to get it's very difficult. So
I could see this being like, if it was read aloud on the radio somehow, it being like the first War of the Worlds when it was first read on the radio, and people thought it was true and like freaked out, like everybody, like everyone's security is breached online, like everybody would just lose it.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's funny in that extent. So if you go to the Panel Syndicate, you can actually, like I said, pick up the entire first volume for like $1, which is insane. It's weird though. The only bad thing is that the release, because he's doing it himself in like his own, with his own like company, like the release schedule of it's kind of weird. Like it will go a few months or more than a few months before another issue is released. But I just found out about it now, and I'm only up to the first volume. I think there was like 3 or 4 more issues that were released. So, but yeah, if you have to read it digitally though, I know that's kind of, like I said, sacrilegious for some people. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that's kind of a feature of comics where it's like the pay as you go type of model?
It's kind of pay as you go right now with comics, because you get one issue at a time, just buying it from a store. So,
but it's more so like pay what you feel is
pay as you.
Like you can pay $1 or you can pay $5. It's what you feel the comic's worth.
From things I've been seeing, like restaurants and stuff like that, where they let you pay what you want. I've heard of restaurants actually kind of coming out above the average, really, with people paying that way. They usually get a lot more money than they expected. So I kind of wish Brian K. Vaughan all the luck in the world, because his stuff is usually pretty damn good, especially with Saga, and I've liked his he's been one of the writers on Under the Dome, and I thought the first season of that was really great. So
I would maybe check it out and see what you think. You can preview the comics on online, but would that at all get you into digital comics, Chuck, if you knew you could buy a brand new comic or something, or entire volume of comic for whatever price you see fit?
No, I gotta say, not at all.
Hey.
I'm very old fashioned with, like, I want to have something to hold in my hand to call mine. And because when everything goes dark one day, not if, when, you're gonna
You
have
your hunting skills and your comic books.
I know, I'm gonna have my comics on the shelf, and you say, those right there, they're mine.
Yeah.
You don't touch those.
Very nice. I understand that. I never see myself going for fully digital comics. I mean, like, there's something about owning it that feels like complete, you know. You never really feel like you own something digitally, even it's like movies.
Yeah.
It
just feels like you're renting it or leasing it or something. Like,
yeah, it's just, you're just a computer crash away from losing it. So,
yeah.
Depending, I mean, some places you can get it in multiple locations, but still, it just never feels like you own it. Especially because I love collecting movies, and you know, it's like buying it on iTunes is like, I don't get a case. I can't put it at my shelf.
Yeah, it's easy. You have something to look at there, you know?
And display and be like, I've watched all of these, or I've read all of these books.
or I bought all these books and read none of them.
It's like a trophy case. It's like
yeah.
These are all the battles that I've won. These are, you know, I've conquered these.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. And we'll be trying to conquer more battles when we do our fact or fiction to try to determine, you know, what's right and what's wrong. But we'll take a quick break and we'll be back in just a moment.
50 years ago, a little old man brought his little blue box to a junkyard, and now Doctor Who is a cultural phenomena worldwide. Join the Geekcast Radio Network and Mark Who 42's Whoniverse as we review Doctor Who episodes past and present, discuss the Doctor's friends and enemies, see where the Doctor's been, where he is, and where he's going. Sit back and grab a jelly baby and join Mark Who 42's Whoniverse. It's the ride of this and every other lifetime.
Fantastic.
Allons-y.
Every week on the In Session Film Podcast, you can expect to hear reviews on all of the latest movies, big films, small films, and everything in between. We'll also do top 3 segments relating back to our main review. We discuss all of the latest movie news and rumblings, as well as have movie series and other fun segments. And we always talk about the films that we're watching and why you should watch them or not watch them as well. If you want to learn more about the In Session Film Podcast, check us out online at InSessionFilm.com. You can hear our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, and so much more. In fact, you can listen to everything we have straight from our website. Again, that is InSessionFilm.com. Download our podcast, check us out, and come join us every week. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, and welcome back. And like I mentioned at the top of the show, we are getting into our infamous fact or fiction. And yes, you're not mistaken. Those words that you just heard, those rap lyrics that you just went through your ears, are from our very own DJ Master himself, Greg Beppler. So I gotta commend Greg on his amazing rap lyrics. Pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, so amazing. It took me about 5 minutes to come up with them, even less.
Nice.
Did you drop the mic when you were done too? Like,
yeah, I dropped my whole computer because that was acting as my mic.
And that was dumb. I'm gonna need a new computer now.
Very nice, very nice. We do appreciate that. So add some little flavor to our little activity here. And for those who've never heard us do Fact or Fiction, it's pretty self-explanatory, but just go over it. Greg, Chuck, and I will be giving out statements to one another. Statements can be about anything from movies, TV, really anything's on the table. And then we'll be trying to determine if that statement is fact or if it's fiction and explain why. You get it? You got it? Good. So
you don't,
Chuck,
screw you.
You know, catch up. You need to catch up. We're going to go Nolan on you and just leave you behind. But Chuck, do you want to? We'll let you kick it off with what you have this week for Fact or Fiction.
Sure, I will kick it off, and I think Dan, I'll start with you. This is only because this is the first question that came to my mind, and I think the next one would be suited more for Greg. So let's see. Okay, fact or fiction? For the most part, DC's upcoming slate of films will be more financially successful than Marvel's Phase 3.
I will say fiction, because with Man of Steel not doing very well, and the fact that Guardians of the Galaxy made more money than every other Marvel movie except for the Avengers, I think Marvel just kind of has the upper hand at this point, and when people trust them.
Yeah.
Batman versus Superman will probably do really well, but I don't know if like Suicide Squad's really going to bring people in, or Cyborg, or if they've built out the response. Like, it took a while before Marvel could get something like Guardians of the Galaxy, so I don't know if DC, if Batman versus Superman's not very good, then maybe they'll have to rethink what they're doing.
So you don't think Marvel will be kind of like overdoing it and people kind of jump ship over to DC, or is it more of like, if Marvel's overdoing it, then it's going to be the superhero genre in general being overdone?
Yeah, I would say if Marvel's not doing well, that's also a bad sign for DC.
Yeah.
So I think Marvel is more welcoming so far with a lot of their movies. They're more upbeat, where DC's films have been really dark and dreary.
Yeah.
I mean, Batman and Superman's huge because those are huge name brands, but I don't know if like Suicide Squad's going to have the same appeal. Like, plus DC or Marvel has Disney behind them, and Disney knows how to market. Warner Brothers, I think, doesn't know what to do with half the characters, or how to make them appealing to people. So
yeah.
I have more faith in Marvel until DC does otherwise at this point.
Yeah. Greg, do you have any opinion on that, or?
I kind of agree with Dan. Marvel's been proven, for the most part, with the story building recent years than DC has, really. So,
yeah, I would tend to agree as well. I think Marvel's just got it rolling right now, and it's gonna be hard to compete with. I mean, DC's doing it right now because this is the time to do it. All the cool kids are doing it, but so yeah. Okay, so my next one is for Greg. This will be not entirely serious. It's meant to be a little bit funny. So, Greg, fact or fiction? You will wait in line overnight if need be to get the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Blu-ray.
Fiction. I don't think that needs any explanation. It ruined my childhood. I actually just watched the original one. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I loved it so much more than the new one. After seeing them so close together, I'm like, yeah, this was so much better. It was so much more heartfelt. I'm like, probably it was just better.
It's like looking at a ugly painting when it's like the only painting there. It's like, what's not that bad? But you put it next to a good one, it's like, oh gosh.
Yeah, I did enjoy it.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Question for you, Greg, though. How much does that change if you find out the Blu-ray has an extended scene with Megan Fox naked?
I'll look it up on the internet. That's what the internet's for, right?
Honesty. Yeah, Mr. Skin. Exactly. I mean, I have no idea.
Carol, you just didn't hear that part.
All right, so Greg, well, I guess we can stick with you. Do you have some facts or fictions for us?
Sure. This one's kind of for... I have ones that kind of go for both you guys, I guess. So, fact or fiction, people will flock to the Dorito-flavored Mountain Dew.
Oh.
I'm assuming Dan hasn't heard of it from that reaction.
No, I have not. But the sad fact is, it is fact, because people will go for that because people are crazy.
Because some guy playing video games is just like, it's 2-in-1. It's killing two birds with one stone.
It's a time saver. It's a space saver. What the hell?
Yeah.
I want to get fat, and I want to be lazy about it. So I'm gonna eat this Mountain Dew flavored taco.
I want to get fat as fast as possible.
Wow. I don't know, Chuck. What do you think?
I remember reading about this last week. They said like Pepsi Company begins testing on. I'm like, really testing? That's kind of a strong word. Like, but I think it will go over big at first. obviously, depending on the taste, that's going to determine whether people stick with it. But I kind of liken it to the Burger King, like, bacon flavored ice cream or whatever they have. Like, people are going to try it. There's no doubt. Like, if you put two things together that people like, the curiosity just gets the best of them. So I would say fact, Greg. I think people are going to flock to it at first.
See, I had that one time that I went camping. I don't think you guys were there for that one. I did have a Frosted Flakes with Mountain Dew acting as milk the one morning. Way too much
awesome.
sugar.
They're freaking great. I'm telling you, you got to try it. They're so great.
You guys want to go to the beach? Want to go to the beach? Let's go to the beach. I think we should go to the beach. Let's go to the beach. Come on, guys. Where's the Frosted Flakes? I need more Frosted Flakes. Do we have Mountain Dew? Let's get some Mountain Dew in here. We should have had milk here because I don't think this was a good option.
You didn't blink for like 4 weeks after that. Jesus Christ. Have you ever had crack? No, but I have had Frosted Flakes in a bowl of Mountain Dew. So,
and oh my God, it was so sickly sweet. The leftover afterwards, the Mountain Dew that was left after eating the Frosted Flakes, it was undrinkable.
Did it be crystallized and become a solid?
I didn't have it for that long. I just ate the Frosted Flakes out of it because I needed a little bit moisture with my cereal, and I was done. I should have just went with water. That probably would have been the better choice, but I was being dumb, I guess. But I guess
turns out that's the only chemical solution that will melt adamantium.
Well, Wolverine needs that. We could get his corpse out of the adamantium that he was melted into and died from.
Spoiler.
Yeah, sorry.
I didn't know he died. They didn't put that on the news enough. Marvel didn't publicize that nearly enough for 6 months that he was going to die.
I guess for my next question, fact or fiction? The end is nigh.
I will go with, we're about in 45 minutes into it, so I'll say fact. We're near the end of the podcast, maybe in the next 20 minutes or so fact.
Nigh being near, for those that don't know that, because I've met several who don't. What is nigh?
Like, who's nigh?
The end is Bill Nye? What?
Wait, nigh has a nice end?
I think the end is always near because our perception of time is so skewed, very small.
Sounds like you just watched Interstellar.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. All right, so I have a few here as well, and mine are kind of universal, but this one I think is directed solely towards Greg though. And Greg, and I kind of stole this off of the recent episode post from last episode because someone mentioned it. So I figured I would ask you here. Last week we talked about Saga, and my question would be to you: Saga will go down as the greatest comic of this generation, fact or fiction?
Well, I don't know what's coming out next, but I think
so far, I guess.
So far, from what we have so far, I would go with a fact on that. I don't agree with TGF1 Mike's comments of the three that he had, really. I definitely think Saga is up there, and I think Mike is a little off. I know Mike usually agrees with my statements, but apparently he doesn't agree with my taste in Saga. So
I don't think he's ever read it. So.
Read it, Mike.
Okay.
Read it. I command it from up high.
I have to check this out. Everybody's talking about it now.
Yeah, and then you'll hate it, and we're like, "Oh, sorry."
I don't think it's gonna be Chuck's thing, though.
It's not my bag, baby.
Yeah,
it's not your bag, baby. I don't think you want to see a giant man cyclops with its freaking huge ass balls hanging out.
What?
That was only one small moment. It was
one very small moment.
Yeah,
one giant set of balls for mankind.
And Chuck, this one, I guess, Greg, you can chime in, but I know you're not a fan of the cosmic Marvel stuff, so you might not have an opinion on this. But I know for a very long time you had a fascination with Silver Surfer and a lot of the Marvel cosmic stuff in general. Yes. So fact or fiction, Silver Surfer is still Marvel's best cosmic character, despite the recent success of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oof, that is tough. Now, are you talking like my opinion or like the populace opinion?
I'm thinking your opinion, like overall best character, not necessarily the most popular.
I would say fact. I think he has like I hate using big weird words like this, but he has like a dichotomy to him. There's like there's something interesting like about what he was willing to do to try to save his planet, and I know a lot of stuff has happened since then and everything, and he went back to Galactus and everything involved with that, but I think his character reminds me a lot of like a Captain America too, like just always wanting to do the right thing and like really noble guy. And I haven't read not much with him in recently. I know he was in like Fear Itself a little bit and stuff like that, so I don't know all the details of what's going on with his story, but
there is a recent comic that came out. I haven't read it. That came out. I heard good things though. The one that was released this year.
Yeah, and I know he's like, he was still considered with the Annihilators when I read that Thanos original graphic novel, The Infinity Revelation, and I do like him a lot on that team. I think he brings like some good leadership to that team and stuff. So, and I got a soft spot for him. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you think he is a strong enough character to support his own movie?
I do. Yeah. I think if they can pull off something like Guardians and they're attempting something like Inhumans, I think they could definitely make a movie about Silver Surfer, and it would be better than a lot of other movies,
Yeah, I mean, just need to get it away from Fox's greedy hands, and they could actually do it right.
Yeah, and and not make him like a blogger, like they're gonna make Doctor Doom.
I just saw the idea of Doctor Doom's origin was changing, and I just kept reading because I'm like, it's just gonna be.
Yeah, I tried not to get too much into it because I knew it would tick me off, but yeah, you got the whole thing with Shia LaBeouf, so you got the love interest. It's just a big part of the story, and then his sacrifice to save his world of Zenlaw, and going with Galactus and everything, and as long as you make Galactus like not a giant cloud. I think that would work really well.
Yeah.
And all the strange people he meets, like you look at something like Guardians of the Galaxy, where like the world building and all the different people you saw at the prison and stuff like that, like you could just see so many people that Silver Surfer would meet along the way.
Howard the Duck. And
then when he comes to Earth and how he breaks that vow because of the likeness he sees with Earth's people with those of his own planet. So.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I think there's definitely some potential there. Those Fantastic Four Rise of Silver Surfer, its issues aside, there were a lot of them. I thought there were a lot of good elements of Silver Surfer in that. And especially even special effects wise, and thinking about how much we have gotten better with that, I think some potential there. I don't know if I would say he's the best cosmic character. He's certainly up there. I have a soft spot for Nova, so
yeah,
I don't know. But though he keeps changing, so it's hard to really claim that. So, but yeah. So let's bring it back over to you, Chuck. Do you have any more fact or fiction?
I do. Let's see. I'll go with this one. I know we discussed this a little bit on the break earlier when no one was listening. So
except for the NSA.
Big Brother's always listening. I could throw this out to either of you. Either of you can chime in. Fact or fiction, Marvel's new Secret Wars story is a better approach than the original one in the 80s. And if you haven't heard, there's some trailers out there on YouTube and stuff. Marvel did some promotional things with the Secret Wars story that they're coming out with next year, sort of taking chunks of Earth from different realities and to Beyonder building like a battle world.
I think I kind of gotta have to say fact, because I think it opens up the door to more variety of characters, and you can, with it being in different universes, maybe you can actually have some real live, like actual stakes happen, like, because sometimes with those big stories, you're kind of limited in what you can do, but if it's taking place in multiple universes, maybe you'll be more free with what you can do to some of these characters, and you wouldn't be too afraid to kill some off, or if need be, not that you need to make a good story, but I don't know, like, I'm a sucker for multiple universes and different universes, and seeing just the idea of like seeing the 90s X-Men next to the Age of Apocalypse X-Men, that just seems intriguing to me.
That was a selling point for me too, that the fact that they're doing the 90s X-Men cartoon universe included in it, I was like, wow, this just blew my mind.
So I gotta say, I agree. I think they almost didn't need to even like call it the Secret Wars or whatever they're calling it. I mean, it could be something new, but I think it has potential. I don't know if it'll be better, but I think I like the initial concept a little bit more. What about you, Greg?
I haven't really heard much about the new one except for what you guys have talked about now, and all of the stuff that you guys mentioned sounds really awesome to me. So,
all right, so we got three votes for yes on that.
Sweet. And my second one, again, this could be thrown out to either of you guys, and I know you haven't probably seen all the new fall TV shows, but my general question to you guys is, fact or fiction, Gotham is the worst of the new fall TV shows.
I haven't really watched a lot of the new fall TV shows. I've been kind of out doing stuff out in the actual real world, and I've kind of fallen off of watching Gotham, not because I didn't like it, but because I was out doing stuff, and but I actually thought Gotham was really well done. But since it's the only thing I've actually watched, I'll go with fact or fiction that it is one of the better things on fall TV, because I haven't really seen that much.
I will go with fact. Actually, I'll disagree with Greg and say it. I don't know how many episodes you've watched, Greg. I think I stopped after the balloon episode. I don't even know which one. I think that was like 3.
Yeah, I think it's 3.
Something like that.
Just was not connecting with it, and I don't have that much time when it comes to watching television because I have a lot of movies to watch.
Really? You did?
Yeah, no. I mean, I've watched a few new TV shows, or at least shows that have come back, like, Walking Dead, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't know if there's any. I finally watched the Flash pilot, and if you compare it to even just like the new season of Arrow, and when you compare it to that type of stuff, I think it's not nearly as good. So I would say, I don't know, like, in general, because I know there's a lot of shows that have been canceled already, and there's probably a lot of bad shows, but out of the shows I was interested in and I've watched, I would say, yeah, fact. It's at least most disappointing show I've watched so far. It might have gotten better, but don't know because I stopped watching.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I haven't watched all of them either, but from the ones I've watched, like, Flash is awesome. Really into Scorpion so far. And like you mentioned, Arrow and Walking Dead are back, and they're awesome. And even though they're not new, but they're new seasons. And I know there was one with the guy that played Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, Forever?
Yeah. I believe that got canceled already, I think, right?
I have no idea if it got canceled. My parents will be very disappointed if it did.
I thought
they
I read
actually
that
like
today.
it.
I could be wrong there, but I don't know. But
that's what you get for calling it Forever. And I've seen Constantine too, and I've actually liked that a good amount. The first episode was actually been the best episode so far, but that show surprised me a great deal. I didn't have much faith in it, and it's been good so far. And my wife's liked it as well, so it's hard to find shows we both like, and that was good. All right, Greg, back over to you.
What? Going also back to something we mentioned earlier in the podcast, but we actually did have on air. Landing on a comet will lead to an industry of harvesting elements from them. Fact or fiction, guys?
Hey, Chuck, why don't you take that one to start off with?
I'm giving you guys the opportunity to be futurists.
You know what, Dan, I insist on being polite. You really take... No, I'm kidding.
No, you. 20 minutes later. No, you go.
I'm going to go fact. As the human... I'm getting all existential now, but... The human race, we're very curious people, and of course we're very greedy as well. So I think with those two things combined, there's no way we're going to pass up the opportunity to basically dig for valuable crap on floating rocks in space. They're easy targets for us to land on and try to find stuff on.
I'm going to go with fiction, because what it's really going to lead to is a new parody song by the Lonely Island Band called I'm on a Comet. And that'll be the biggest.
Making it with Martians and shit.
I'm on a comet. Yeah, that's gonna be that. That's what it's really gonna lead to. Is I'm on a comet. I'm gonna call it right now. I think fact. Yeah, I think it's gonna lead to a few things. Armageddon 2.
Armageddon with a vengeance.
Armageddon 2 with a vengeance. Moonlighting. No, I think similar to what Chuck was saying, I think it will lead to something in some ways, because I know there's been a lot of research regarding comets and the minerals and whatnot that they have that could be, very beneficial to that of Earth. And like Chuck said, we're always looking to get ahead in some way. So if there's money that can be made, someone's going to try to make it, even if it's Dr. Doom.
I also think it would be interesting to see what the effects on the economy if this does actually happen, if we do start scavenging comets and different stuff going by either landing on them and mining or having some kind of tractor beam, which I know is I've heard is kind of in development to try and figure out some way to net a comet and bring it in to be salvaged for different resources and elements that may be sparse on our planet. So I think that'd be interesting if all of a sudden we collect a comet that's like this giant diamond comet. The prices of diamonds go down, and like what effect that will have on other things as we go along here.
It's interesting you bring that up because I was just watching a show the other day about like asteroid impacts and like their likelihood of hitting the Earth and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they got into talking about like, you know, if we did spot one. And they did the orbital calcs and figured it's, you know, going to hit us in so many years. What could we do to prevent it?
Yeah.
And they were just going through the methods of like what they could use. And the one guy's like, well, obviously everyone wants to nuke it, but he's like, you could have more bad things come from that than good. Like you could have it like basically just bounce off the surface and not blow it up, or you could create like just a whole bunch of shrapnel with a bunch of little pieces.
Yeah, it'd be like a giant shotgun shell coming at you.
Yeah. And then they got talking about some of the better methods where they could send up like a satellite with this huge mirror on it and just reflect the sunlight onto one surface. And if one side's hotter than the other, that's actually going to affect the rotation of it, which is going to affect the orbit of it. And over so many miles and then so many years of orbiting, it's going to change its path enough to like potentially miss us.
That's an interesting one that I haven't heard of, actually.
Yeah. And then there was another version of like, well, if it's, you know, if one side of it's like white and one side's black, you know, the two different colors would reflect light differently. But the guy's like, I don't think we can go up there with buckets of paint and like paint the asteroid. But one of the cool things was like
giant paintball launched at it through space.
A couple of things were like they could attach these thrusters to it. They could attach these things that are like big parachutes or something, which I don't know how that would work. But and the one was like you said, the tractor beam, which these two astronauts came up with. It was just like this huge vessel that they would park next to it, sort of, and you know the gravity of the asteroid would want to pull the vessel in, but the vessel has thrusters to keep it a certain distance away. So it's essentially pulling the asteroid in tow.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like kind of enough to like get it off its course. But yeah, that stuff's fascinating. I talk about that all day.
Yeah, I was actually watching something similar, and they talked about one of the best methods was they felt would have no downside was actually if they shot Kim Kardashian's ass in space to hit the comet, that it would in fact then cause it to stop. So, but I guess that does beg the question: if we landed Kim Kardashian's ass on a comet, would that in fact break the internet? That's anyways, I'm sorry to bring out the intellectual conversation, and then I immediately destroyed it. I do apologize.
Right to the ass.
I was the one that was bringing up intellectual stuff, Dan. But let's see. For my next one, I think I'm going to go further down my list because there's more interesting ones. Let's see. Comic book collectors are hoarders, guys. Fact or fiction?
I will say they are fact. They are hoarders, but more organized hoarders.
Good answer. Chuck?
Yeah, I would say fact. And yeah, I would agree with the organized to some extent, but with me, I get into hoarding other stuff other than comics. Like I start hoarding everything, which is not good.
Yeah.
The issue is, as long as you're not hoarding dead cats.
No, that's the grossest episodes.
No, just comics about dead cats. No. But yeah, I'm convinced you guys are going to see me on one of those episodes of Extreme Hoarders one day or something. I'm going to be buried with like graphic novels, action figures, hero clicks.
I feel like
football
if I don't
cards
at my parents' house, that will happen, and I'm scared, deathly scared of that.
DVDs, sports figures.
You keep going. Tractors.
Tractors, Matchbox, NASCAR.
Books, those are some really great questions. Hopefully, I can live up to your question.
You like the end is
I think this one. Well, no. Well, I think this one is nearly as intellectual as the comic question. Greg, and I'll direct this one towards you.
Okay.
If Emily Clark and Emma Ratajkowski got into a fight, the winner would be Greg.
Fact. If I was there for it and everything, if I accidentally fell into the fight,
Accidentally fell.
Yeah. Whoops! That man just threw himself into those women.
Just a brave soul.
That would be that's like the best dream ever that could go on. My mind would explode. I don't think I would be able. I'm barely functioning after getting asked that question. So if it actually happened, I don't think I would be able to function.
Greg's done for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, I am. I'm spent.
You'd be like getting the same feeling of eating Frosted Flakes and Mountain Dew all over again.
Except just in one area specifically.
Alrighty then. This one, Chuck, I'm directing towards you, but I think Greg, you can chime in as well.
Chuck doesn't want to chime in my question.
I don't think he does.
I'll pass on it.
After X-Men Apocalypse, Fox should reboot the X-Men franchise with an entirely new cast and creative team.
Fiction.
So you think they should just keep going with the people they have?
Yeah, well, honestly, I think they should just stop after Apocalypse. Well, depending on where they go. I mean, I know they want to kind of move on with the younger cast and everything. So maybe there'll be something good. You know, I'm sure once I see Apocalypse, I'll be like, okay, I want one more. But yeah, I would be content even if they just made Apocalypse, and because that's kind of the guy I've been waiting for all along to be the villain. And then obviously after that, I'm gonna want Juggernaut, and then after that, I'm gonna want, you know,
you got Juggernaut. What are you talking about?
Listen, that's not Juggernaut. That's Vinnie Jones in a styrofoam muscle suit. That's not even the J of Juggernaut. Like, that's not even. But no, I definitely wouldn't reboot it. I'm especially happy with the new younger cast, like James McAvoy and gosh, I'm trying to think, Michael Fassbender, and obviously Jennifer Lawrence and Michael Holt. Is it, or Nicholas Holt? Sorry. I actually like him a lot too. So yeah, I would just keep going with them if they're going to make any more past Apocalypse.
Greg, what do you think? Do you think they should reboot it after Apocalypse, stop it, or just keep going?
I'd like to see what's going on with the Apocalypse movie. And I do enjoy this younger cast, especially from the first movie, which very controversially, I enjoyed the X-Men First Class better than I did enjoy the second one. I know that's controversial, but
I agree with you. I called X-Men First Class the best Marvel movie, which I know is not necessarily universal, but still, it's still my favorite. And
I'd like to actually get a little bit more intimate with some of the characters and on an individual basis. Like I would definitely like to check out more of like Michael Fassbender, because I so enjoyed his Magneto. And
watch the movie Shame, because then you'll see all of Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, I don't need to see that part. But I'd like to see more of like an individual Magneto movie, kind of more in the past.
I was just going to ask you that. Do you think that a movie just with Fassbender as Magneto would work?
I think that'd be really sweet, and I'd also love individual kind of Jennifer Lawrence Mystique movie, just because I think she's awesome, and
if they
brought
do
a lot of Mystique.
If they do the Magneto one, they got to have that theme music that you love so much.
Oh yeah, that music, the best music I've heard in a film, I think.
Yeah, I love that. It's one of my favorite. It's probably of all the Marvel films, my favorite theme.
Yeah, that song just gets me motivated.
All right, Chuck, we're bringing it back to you. Do you have any more fact or fiction?
I do. Let's see. Go with Dan for this one. But again, anybody can chime in. Fact or fiction, the NFL needs to get rid of Thursday night games.
Fact. God, fact. First of all, messes up with our podcast schedule. What were they thinking?
I know, they should have checked with us first.
I don't know. I watch it while you guys are talking, and the games are usually shit anyway, so I don't feel like I'm missing that much without the sound on.
So you're watching shit rather than listening to us. Thanks a lot. No,
I listen to you guys, and then I just look at the shit on the TV.
I say fact, because like Greg, you mentioned, the games are always awful. even like when I do get the chance to watch them, they're just really inconvenient when it comes to fantasy football perspective, because they're always hard to predict and people get injured more often, and they just make it annoying because it's like you need to set stuff a few days earlier. And I think the worst thing about Thursday Night Football is the fact that it makes Thanksgiving mean less. It's not nearly as unique as an experience, and it's so cool to like have football just on Thursdays for Thanksgiving, and we do it every week. It's not nearly as exciting, and it's just, I don't know. I hate everything about it. To me, it's just, fat. Get rid of Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
Greg, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It's doing nothing. Not a lot of people can see it anyway because it's on the NFL Network, so it's kind of pointless. But I think like a lot of like the games that they put on TV anymore are kind of the shitty games, especially the games that start at 1 o'clock on Sundays for us. It's on the East Coast. It's just like they always put the local games on, and they have been really shitty lately. Games that I don't care about like at all. I think the one was Jets versus somebody, and I was like, who gives a shit? Why are they trying to sell us on the Jets?
Yeah, no, I'm really sick of seeing all the Steelers games. That's like freaking annoying.
Yeah, the Steelers are doing shit this year, so who gives a crap?
This will be to both of you. I'm not sure if you guys will have heard of this yet, but I'll go out on a limb anyway and we'll see how it goes. Fact or fiction? The new Transporter TV series, based on the Jason Statham movies, has the potential to be just as well liked as the films.
Fiction. I feel like those movies are like set up because of Jason Statham. Jason Statham is the one that's giving it the badass feel. I don't know who's playing Jason Statham's character of Frank Martin, but it's a lot of shoe to fill with Jason Statham because he just badass.
Yeah.
I agree with Greg. I would call it fiction, and I would equate it to like when they try to do the Blade TV series and they try to get someone else to play Blade. You're like, that's kind of you're taking away one of the big reasons that you watch that movie. So.
Especially when
Transporter.
Yeah.
Especially when he goes by the name Sticky Fingers.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were making a Transporter TV series, but that makes me sad on the inside.
I think there's some episodes out already, right, Greg?
No, I haven't seen it. I just know that I just saw like an advertisement. I was like, really?
I don't know if I watched a little bit of it online or if it was on TV or what it was, but I watched like some of it and it seemed interesting. It was like the beginning of an episode, and he's clearly not Statham, but they try to paint the same picture with like the black Audi and putting on the driving gloves and everything, and it's just really.
I love the way you stated that they're trying to paint the same picture. Because all I could picture is like Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night and then some little 2-year-old trying to do the same thing. I feel like that's the equivalent.
I got this. It's like,
this guy cut off his ear. How smart can he be? I don't know. I mean, I would be interested to check out a few episodes. Like, that's on my list of things to do, but I definitely agree with you guys. I don't think it has that kind of potential that the films do. I think those were very highly regarded, and like you said, Greg, Statham just takes it up a notch.
All right, Greg, over to you. What's next on your list?
Skip around here a little bit. Let's see. I'll ask a really non-serious question. You guys, fact or fiction? People are all about the bass. No treble.
I will go fact because it's from that singer and She Would Not Lie. Because, brothers can't deny.
When anybody things walks in with a thing up in your face, you get sprung.
Yeah, and then something about Anaconda. So, fact.
My Anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hon.
Anacondas love hot dogs, apparently. Is that... Chuck is no comment, I'm guessing.
I forget what we were talking about.
I did too.
Oh, the bass thing. I'm going to say fiction because I don't like a lot of bass. It annoys me. It vibrates my body, and I don't like it.
But you could feel like the Flash trying to vibrate through a wall.
Yeah, it's not the same. I don't know. Nothing annoys me more when you see like the crappy like tuner car with the fart can muffler,
I hate those.
and they pull up at the light, and it's just like
boom, boom,
boom, boom, boom, and it's like you could hear like the shitty pieces of their car rattling with each stroke of the drum, and it's like, how is that even like good to listen to? Like, it's not even pleasing at all. Like your bass and treble is supposed to be. You're supposed to work in synchrony, I guess.
All right, Greg, what else you got?
Well, also something that's kind of annoying, for me at least, fact or fiction, Christmas advertising comes way too early anymore.
I'll be the first one to say that's a fact. I was in a Big Lots in August, and they had the Christmas trees out already.
Oh, God, that hurts me.
I'm like, really? I just got back from the beach. I'm like, what the It's pathetic.
Yeah, fact. Oh, very much fact. It's just stop it already. It's like...
You might as well leave the stuff out all year at this point. Like,
yeah. Not to mention, like, Black Friday starts way too early. It's like Black Friday shopping starting on Monday. It's like, stop it already.
Amazon has countdown to Black Friday going on. It started, like, I think last week or something.
And if you have a company and you're open on Thanksgiving, boo. Like,
yeah, I feel bad for these poor people that have to work on Thanksgiving instead of being with their families, because... And the reason they have to work is because people are going out and buying this stuff.
Yeah.
So you're propagating that, way of thinking. I totally disagree with that.
We're gonna save tons of money on stuff we don't need anyways, but still, we'll save money on our fourth TV that's gonna be for the dog's room. So it's gonna be great.
Dog's room.
The sad part is that's probably true for a lot of people. Very nice. All right, so. My turn. I will set this over to you, Greg. Settlers of Catan is a more enjoyable game to play than Cards Against Humanity.
Fiction. I think Cards Against Humanity is a lot more fun because you're just joking around. You're just like glad. You're even glad to see other people win because you're still getting amusement out of their answers. But Catan gets really freaking cutthroat. I play over my brother's house, and he has his in-laws, I guess you could say at this point, over, and his soon-to-be wife. I don't know when they're getting married, but I'm saying it's soon. And oh my God, the battles that break out, people get angry and like quit, or I don't feel like playing anymore. I know I've done it a couple times. It can get stressful depending on your mindset going in, but Cards Against Humanity is just always good fun. So it's a little bit more casual.
All right.
I think over the holidays we should all get together and have a big HeroClix battle too.
Yeah.
Because I have a few characters now.
Nice. I will not be against that. All right, Chuck, this one's towards you, but Greg, you might chime in. I'm not sure. Feel free. But
it's me. I always chime in, even when I'm not supposed to. What do we got?
Fact or fiction? The Geico Cold Cuts commercial will never not be funny.
Facts.
Gonna get some cold cuts.
44, ladies, that's me.
I just laugh thinking about it.
It's freaking hilarious. Icky Woods. Oh man, it's just funny.
So you going with fact on that one?
Yeah, I'm going with fact. That makes me laugh every time. I don't think that could ever get old. And he slams the ticket down like he's spiking the football.
Greg, do you agree?
It's seriously not one of my most favorite commercials. I gotta
screw you, man.
This is why Chuck is going to different podcasts. He's fed up with me. But yeah, the first couple of times it was funny for me, but it just kind of passed its.
I could see if they start playing the hell out of it like some of these other commercials.
I've seen it like at least 25 times at this point.
See,
all I watch.
I only see it like maybe twice every Sunday when I'm watching football. So it's like,
I've seen it way more times than that. I've definitely seen it in the 20s.
Yeah, I usually only see it during football, and I just like Carol, my wife's like, well, "You always laugh at that commercial." I'm like, I can't help it. I don't know why. There's something about his enthusiasm that I'm just like, it's just.
It's way over the top.
Yeah, it feels real because like he does his little famous dance from back in his day.
Yeah. One that does annoy the crap out of me is the stupid little robot guy for Old Spice.
Oh. Yeah.
That is just so creepy. It's just.
I thought that would be me in robot form, and not getting the ladies.
All right, Chuck. We'll make this the last round. So why don't you start us off?
I shall. Let's see. I'll go with Greg first this time. I'll give him first crack at this one.
Challenge accepted.
I know you enjoyed the movie a little bit, so let's see where you go with this. Fact or fiction? You are looking forward to checking out the Guardians of the Galaxy animated series in 2015.
Fact. I'm not like over like, oh my god, I can't wait. And I haven't heard too much about it, but I'd be totally interested in checking that out. I am like a 5-year-old. So I do enjoy my cartoons. So I will definitely be checking that out if I remember that it's on.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think it looks interesting. I haven't been a biggest fan of some of the recent stuff that Marvel's been doing with animated, like the Avengers Assemble cartoon.
The CGI things.
Well, that one and just the one that replaced Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Avengers Assemble is not that great.
It's just the animation style just seems really fake to me. It just, I don't know. It's something about it. It feels really generic. So, though the Guardians of the Galaxy, the images we've seen look interesting. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well. I heard they started production on it and everything. I'm not sure exactly when it's coming out next year, but I know I don't have the stupid TV channel that it's on. So
what is it, Disney XD or something?
Yeah, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, I think I have it. You can come over to my house, Chuck, whenever you want.
Okay, cool.
Whatever he remembers, it's on. So.
Yeah, well, if Chuck remembers it's on, he can come in and be like, Greg, it's on. I'm like, oh, okay.
Every week at a certain time, we'll have Guardians of the Galaxy Day. We'll watch it. Me. I'll wear my little Groot costume too. All right, my last question: fact or fiction? Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman has stated there will be a spin-off show of The Walking Dead. So, fact or fiction, a spin-off show of Walking Dead is a good idea based on all the love that it gets now.
I'll say fiction because I feel like it's going to be tough to make it work. Spin-off shows are hard, and when you don't have a comic to rely on for continuity, to build in your characters, it could be good, but I feel like it's just a money grab. I don't know. I don't feel like it's going to work well just because it just seems like they're going to be trying to, milk this cow a little bit too much and then stretch themselves thin and then end up with something that's not very good.
Like powdered cow milk.
Yes.
It's got to really hurt for the cow.
Greg, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's trying to grab the money from it, but I feel like people will get inundated with it and get kind of kill the franchise a little bit. Yeah.
See, I would say fact. I think it is a good idea at the right time. I think if they wait too long to do it, then it's going to be a bad idea. But
yeah,
if they get it out very soon, as soon as possible, it's a good idea. But 3 years down the road, it might be way too late. I don't know.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I feel like just make Walking Dead better. Not that I think it's a bad show. Just I worry. Worry is maybe a strong word. I'm just hesitant to think that it's going to do well because I felt like it took Walking Dead a while to get its legs. So it may be good. I mean,
it took a while to get its legs.
It could be cool just to see what the other parts of the world look like and what how open up the scale of Walking Dead. So that might be interesting. So I'm certainly see there's potential. I'll probably watch it for sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm just a little bit hesitant. That's all.
And it's like it's supposed to be like taking place in a different area, but at the same time that everything with this show with Rick and everyone's going on right now, like at the same time, just a different area. And I heard a rumor. This could be a bold-faced lie, but I heard a rumor that they're thinking about Pennsylvania as the setting.
Well, probably because they wouldn't have to do much set decoration to make it look like the apocalypse.
Right.
So.
We have a lot of abandoned structures and random stuff.
So.
There's these old tunnels that from the old like PA Turnpike that are abandoned, and they've actually been used in a couple of movies, so they could just reuse those.
They could go to the spot that I've been already, the tunnel that I was in.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even have to just bring in any people to paint graffiti on the walls. It's already there.
Creepy as hell at dark.
Oh, that's funny.
Alrighty. Greg, on to you for your last two fact or fictions.
Oh shit, which ones do I want to use here? I'll go with the easy couple here. Maybe I'll make them both food related, because I do have like half the ones I have left are dealing with food. But fact or fiction, Chuck is a burger connoisseur.
I'll go with fact, because he always if we go out, tends to go to burger places, and he has a good opinion when it comes to burgers. So if Chuck says a burger is good, I'm pretty sure I'm going to like it. I said Greg.
Yeah, I would definitely say fact. I consider myself a burger connoisseur. I like.
You have a list of your favorite burger places.
I do, and I will say the best one that I can remember is from Chicken Ruth's Deli in Annapolis, Maryland.
Nice.
You're welcome. It also has awesome milkshakes down there too.
They do. Humongous freaking giant milkshakes.
That's right.
Yeah, the show was featured on Man vs. Food, where he did the challenge with the milkshake and the 1 pound Reuben sandwich or something like that.
Yeah. But you can also get a burger too with the challenge, I believe.
Yeah, the burger was outstanding. I loved it there. There's a lot of other good ones. I just enjoy tasting them and having different ones. I had a really good one down on the boardwalk in Wildwood this summer at this like 50s style diner. They called it the 57 Chevy, the burger. It had like jalapenos on it and everything.
Nice.
I think it was delicious.
Chuck, was it a Johnny Rockets?
No, it was actually called Doo-Wop Diner.
Oh, cool.
It's one of my favorite places down there on the boardwalk.
Down by the sea.
Don't get me started on burgers. I could just go like.
Welcome to Burger Cast.
The way to my heart is burgers and asteroids.
Chuck's gonna leave this podcast and start the Burger Asteroid podcast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna join the Cosmos Cup podcast with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Tyson, you make chicken too, right?
Do you make a chicken burger? But for my next one, I'll be going with, since we're getting close to Thanksgiving. Yes, Thanksgiving, not Christmas. Fact or fiction? Apple pie beats pumpkin pie.
Oh, fiction. Fiction. This is going to be un-American, but I'm not a big fan of apple pie, so I really just eat pumpkin. So I'm going fiction. Give me some pumpkin pie.
What do you dislike about apple pie?
The texture of it. I'm just not.
The goopy stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, you need to have my mom's apple pie. That sounds kind of wrong, but.
Bepler's mom.
But in all seriousness, the pie is delicious. Take that as pervertedly as you want.
Yeah, good apple pie is very good.
Yeah.
I'm going to say fiction, though, too. I love pumpkin pie.
Do you prefer apple pie, Greg?
Oh, yeah. This family is a big apple family. We love the apple pie, especially. We have a recipe from one grandmother for the crust and the other grandmother for the filling. And it is the perfect combination of the families coming together to make this perfect food item. Nice. We seriously devour apple pie when it comes into season. and my mom can't seriously make them fast enough.
All right, I have the last two fact or fictions for the night, and Chuck, I will start with you for this one, and Greg, feel free to chime in if you would like.
I have been so far.
So, fact or fiction, not only will the Seahawks not repeat as Super Bowl champions, they won't even win a playoff game.
Fact.
Do you think they'll get into the playoffs?
No, I don't. I think they're going to miss the playoffs.
Interesting. What about you, Greg?
I'm going to go opposite of Chuck. I'm going to go fiction. I think they're still a really great team. People are they're a little bit, they're not as surprising to people this year. So they're losing a couple games, but I still think they're a really good team. I think they're going to make it to the playoffs and at least win one game.
Interesting. Yeah, I think they'll make at least win one game, but I think they'll win the division. Well, no, the Cardinals are in the division, right?
Yeah, I think I like the Cardinals and even the Niners above them in that division so far.
Yeah, they might get in as wild card, but I don't know. I could see them losing. I know they just crushed the Giants recently, but it was okay though because not David Beckham, that's a soccer player.
O'Donnell.
Odell Beckham Jr.
Thank you for bringing that up again. At least I beat your wife this week. That sounds also Damn it!
No, but Odell Beckham Jr. made Richard Sherman look awful. He just ran all over him.
He burned him.
Which was great. I'm like, oh, yeah, greatest in the world, not when you're going up against a rookie. So it's gotta hurt a little bit. So
I don't know. Maybe it's my emotions talking, but I would like to see them not make it. But I like Arizona and San Fran a lot in that division. Like San Fran's a bit of a disappointment as well. But I think either Dallas or the Eagles will be the other wild card.
Oh,
every year is weird anymore.
Yeah, like the NFC specifically has been really kind of odd. There's not like one dominant team, and they kind of...
The AFC is like a logjam.
Yeah.
I think they said there's only like three or four teams that are kind of out of the picture. The rest of them are all right there for a playoff spot.
And they're all the Raiders. That are out. All right, so this will be the last fact or fiction of the night. And it's one I think either one you can answer. And just recently today, a new trailer of this movie was released, and that's The Avengers 2, or at least an extended trailer. But fact or fiction, Avengers 2 will be better than the first Avengers movie. Anyone can
go. Still thinking. It's, you know what? I'm going to say fact. I think the plot line is going to be better. The writing and everything. I think it's going to come out better because Ultron is the one villain I think that could sort of match Loki as far as like an interesting villain. And because he was created accidentally by Stark and the Avengers. And I think that there's going to be a lot of play on that, and it's really people are going to be at odds, and Ultron's just a fascinating character as it is. As much as I like the first Avengers for the sense of wonder and the wow factor, it's always going to have a soft spot for that. I think plot-wise, Avengers 2 will be better.
Greg?
I agree with Chuck, but then to add on to that, I think with all of the people that got into the Avengers from the first one are going to be going to this one, and it's a hardcore fan base, and then plus with all these new people that got in the bandwagon on the first one, I think there's going to be a very big outburst for the second one. If any of what I said made sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go with fraction because I'm not sure. I can't even answer my own question.
Matt Fraction?
Yeah, Matt Fraction.
I think
I'm going to go with fiction. I don't know. Maybe again, me being pessimistic. So far, I have liked what I saw. I really like James Spader so far as Ultron, so I think there's some potential there. But I don't know. I'm setting the bar a little bit low, and I'm a little bit worried about Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch because I don't know how well they're gonna mesh. And I'm not the biggest fan of Aaron Taylor Johnson after his role in Godzilla earlier this year. So I don't know. I think he has a lot to live up to when it comes to that role, considering how well it was handled in X-Men Days of Future Past. So I don't know. I think it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be great as the first one, just because the first one just has the fact that it was just an experience seeing that actually happen. So something about, it's nothing like your first time.
Yeah, that's kind of along the lines of what I was thinking it. But I know the biggest criticism was like, oh, the plot was weak. It was just like a, sort of basic, which, yeah, it was, but it's just so awesome seeing your, like, the team up. It's just like, it just overcomes that.
Definitely. So interested to hear what other people have to say. But before we go, we like to end each episode with a letter, and we're going to continue with the Unknown Saga this week. It's coming back due to popular demand, of course.
Of zero people.
But no, we will continue with the Unknown Saga with episode 12, Fight Night.
I've searched the entire city over twice, and still no signs of Don. There's only one place that I have not searched yet, and that is where Don went missing to begin with. The place where the kids play and where the bullhorns hang over the doorway. It's the one place that Don told me to stay away from. Don isn't here, so maybe that rule can be broken. Ah, hell. When did I start caring about rules in the first place? I wrap the new garb that I stole around myself, and I walk into the swarm of laughing children. The same goon that told me off before approaches.
Hey, you. Get to walking.
I have some business to discuss with your boss.
Hey, wait a minute. I knows you. You're that weird dressed fucker from before. That was you talking to those kids. I told you to fuck off before. What, do I gotta beat it into your fucking head?
Yeah, I guess my face is pretty funny looking, but not as funny as yours will be when I get done with you.
Why, you motherfucker? Ugh!
A punch mailed by snails would have been delivered faster. I casually sidestepped the punch and jammed my fist into the grunt's nose, feeling bone and tissue give way to the force. The grunt backs away, grabbing his nose, which is spurting out blood.
Now you're not just gonna get a whooping.
The grunt pulls the sword that he's carrying away from the sheath at his hip. This is the point in which all of the parents of the children playing came and frantically collected their children, which also leads to more goons appearing outside the door. 3 more to be exact. Goon number 1 swings his sword with the same speed in which he delivered the punch. This too was easily avoided, and his wrist was easily caught. With a quick knee, the arms are broken.
Ah!
And the sword is dropped. The other goons circle as I take hold of the sword that has been abandoned by its owners. So who's first? It was a terrible question as they all attacked at once. These men were much faster than their fallen brother. They all had attacked at the same time with the same speed, and their swords struck each other's simultaneously above my head. I tackle one as the other 2 swords follow through, nearly striking and slicing my back. I headbutt the man I tackled and he goes unconscious. I collect his sword as well, and get up to see a blur come at me. I instinctually parry the attack, sending it off to my right. Then I swing to the left, blocking the point of a sword that was trying to implant itself into my lung. Another swing nearly takes off my head, but I duck out of its way. An attack at my legs is easily leapt over. Parry and thrust and parry. I was starting to wear down. How could I keep up at this pace? These last 2 were focused and skilled. I was having trouble keeping my swords held high. Timing was on my side, though. A shout from inside the door with the bullhorns stopped my attackers.
Let him through!
I made my way through the attackers and under the horns.
Anyways, hope you enjoyed episode 12 of Unknown Fight Night. But before we go, let's give you all the ways you can get in contact with us. There's tons of different ways. You can comment on the episode post at geekcastradio.com or learnedly.co.uk. You can email us at talkingincircles@live.com or feedback@geekcastradio.com. We're on Twitter. Search Talking in Circles GCRN. And Greg, you're also on Twitter. What is your Twitter name?
At the Create Forgio.
And I am at Movie Revolt. And Chuck, you are at nothing.
Yeah. I'm at Hero Clicks Collector 4028. No, not really.
Probably already taken. So, but also would be very appreciative if you can go to iTunes and leave us a review. We do love those. Those are awesome to get. So we could do for another one, of course. That's
not only does Dan love his top fives, but he loves iTunes reviews, guys.
I do love iTunes reviews. Hopefully positive, but hey, if there are negative things, let us know. We enjoy the feedback. But anyways, yeah. So we had a lot of fun this week with a lot of different talk, from comments to Kim Kardashian to football. That's how we roll. Anyways, we'll be back next week, same time, same channel, same podcast feed. But for now,
this has been Chuck.
This has been Greg, or Mom's Apple Pie.
And this has been Dan, and we've been Talking in Circles. We'll see you next week. I've heard a lot of good things about your Mom's Apple Pie.
Bastard.
Sorry. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's more, I haven't tried apple pie since I was a young kid, a young little lad, so maybe if I tried it now, I would enjoy it more. But I always go to pumpkin. I'm a pumpkin guy. I can't help it.
My family, pumpkin is like the grossest thing ever. We always go apple pie.
Man.
So I think everybody else are like, oh yeah, apple pie is awesome. So.
You gotta have the pumpkin pie that my grandmother makes. That's really good.
Ooh, we need a face-off. Greg's mom's apple pie versus versus Chuck's pumpkin pie, and I will be the taste tester, and I will win both.
I will say some warm apple pie is great with just pure vanilla ice cream.
That's a good time.
That's really good.
See, I have to load up the pumpkin pie with tons of whipped cream.
That's a good time as well.
I love those foods that are just basically gateways to eating other foods. It's like, I can't just eat Cool Whip from the jar, so I'll just put it on this pumpkin pie to make it seem like I'm not